Well, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Mitch and I are happy to have everyone here with us. We are here for the summer secret stream, or the secret summer stream. Just a little low key, a little sliding in here. I'll try a little something I got from my nephew from the Isle of Rasay when he was on his honeymoon. Mitch said he's going to match up with me with some scotch this evening. So, do you have one picked out already?
Yeah, I'm going Aberfeldy 12 to start off with.
Oh, that was a nice one to go. So nice to see Dave, Wade, Adina, Renita, Emily, Spencer, Jesse. Thank you all for being here this evening. Oh, and before I go any further, I have to mention that we are a proud part of the Bar Cart Co-op. Uh, we have a like-minded collective of shows where we try to give people whiskey knowledge, but sometimes in a more fun, interesting way, with other shows as part of the group of Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkins, where they dive a little bit deeper into the nuts and bolts. Watch, I can get out to the edge here. The nuts and bolts of distilling, and finding out some other unique aspects to the distilling and whiskey world. Alan has a bunch of them, so we're going to go real quick here through a couple other ones here. This one is One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. That is if you have questions about distilling in any way, shape, or form, feel free to send him a question. He will respond, and you will get your answer to what's going on. And that's pretty useful to some people who are just starting out in the field or just have in general questions and knowledge. And then he also has If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, where it's more of a paranormal look show that they're looking into. But it does blend some of the spirits and distilling inside of things when they get into some of the history and stuff that's going on. Then we have one last show, which is Bourbon Turntable with Drew Crowley and Kevin Rose. I almost said Kevin Smith for a second because there's so long to get in there, which would have been a different show. But they blend the love of music with the love of whiskey. You should stop out and see them. They have shows that drop every Wednesday, so next one will be coming out in 2 days. So now that I've gotten through that, Mitch, how are you doing?
I'm just living that dream, right?
Hold on.
Dealing with a doctor who doesn't want to do
Call him out,
his
Mitch.
job.
Call him out on the show.
That's fun. But other than that, how are you doing?
In the chat? I'm doing all right. Just got past the holiday weekend. I gotta say it was nice to have the short week afterwards, and then back at it. So I don't know, didn't do anything too overly crazy, but just happy to get back here. So, all right, you said you're starting with Aberfeldy, right?
Yep, Aberfeldy 12.
Oh, so it looks like we're going Scotch.
Yeah, I was gonna try and join you in it.
All right. So, you want to go first since you got that poured? What are you smelling on your Aberfeldy?
So this is like insane amounts of fruit and honey to me. Just insane amounts of fruit and honey. I poured it, and I haven't had this in several years, so it's just like, oh wow, yeah, like I forgot about that. But fruit and honey. Oh my gosh, a little bit of something like earthy or vegetal back there, but just the overwhelming amount of fruit and honey. This is like a fruit cocktail that has 2 inches of honey poured over it. Is like the best nose I can get.
No, well, and that's the one thing that I will give a lot of actual scotches. You do get a lot of deep, I think, more impactful fruit flavors from them than compared to some of the American counterparts. It's not as obviously a whole as a lie because we've had some other ones that do carry it through, but I think in general they have a little more fruit character, and that's the part I do miss and I enjoy about them.
Yeah, I mean, so they obviously have to age this partially in sherry because the amount of fruit that they are getting out of here is not what you would get out of just oak and barley, but taste is pretty darn close to the nose.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's nothing wrong with pulling through a bottle of it. Now, have you had any of their other releases, Mitch?
I have not. I bought the
Oh.
12 because it was, their entry point years ago, and I liked it and was like, all right, now to buy something else, and just moved on. But so I mean, I know this is like one of the base malts for Dewar's, so I probably need to look into Dewar's a little more.
See, that's another one where kind of like the white label, not a fan of. Kind of the base release is still not my biggest fan, but I'd be happy if it's at a wedding or something. And then as you progress, it starts to get more exciting. I was gonna say it's kind of oh I don't want to call it Jack Daniels, but kind of similar. Where I was gonna say your base is all right in the grand scheme of things, um, but once you start going past that, man, there's some hidden stuff. There's some stuff that was hidden from the public for a while. Is the way I like to say that because so long that like Jack Daniels only had their standard release, and then you start seeing all these single barrel select, the rye, that heritage releases, and you're like, holy shit! I still think one of the most underrated single barrels or fairly priced single barrels on the market because I can still find it typically for like 55, $60.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I will say the first bottle of scotch I ever killed the entire bottle of was a bottle of Dewar's 15. So you win some,
hey,
you lose. All right. But I
all right.
want to say it was like 30, $40 for a 15-year-old scotch. So I was at the time like all about that, right?
Well, yeah, there's nothing. Plus, like you said, it went like I said, that step up, that bump up makes a little bit of a difference for
It
what's
makes a
going on.
big difference.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be understated. You're right. I shouldn't understate what's going on because that's reality. And it, are we lagging out there a little bit behind? And that would be fair if it is. I just want to know if we are because it doesn't look like it up here. And oh, hey, Richie, good to see you.
I think it was just we were late.
Oh, that could be too. I might have been schmoozing in the back about discussing some things. So mine is where I'm starting is the Isle of Rosé. So what these guys do is they take their peated and unpeated malt, and the peated version they age in rye whiskey barrels, chickapin oak, which should be very interesting to everyone here watching because I think Woodhat's the only other place I know that really uses them consistently. I know some other people have. Um, and then Bordeaux, and then the unpeated version of it, because it's only lightly peated, um, is in a standard cask, an oak cask, and a red wine uh, cask. So 6 different kind of blends as they pull it together here to kind of create what's on the inside of this. Um, and on the nose, I get the rye. I was going to say the rye on the back end of it because that kind of jumps up coming through. But you get a really neat kind of earthiness. I'm going to say from, I think, the Bordeaux because you get a light hidden, like a really light funk. You can tell it's peated, but it's very, very light. Honeycomb, pear,
Hair?
pear,
Oh, pear. Oh, that makes
pear.
so much more sense.
Sorry,
Sorry. I was like, that's a weird taste in your nosing note there, man.
pear. A little bit of nectarine. There's a sweet extra little edge note to it in here. And then you get this and I don't want to call it a dusty note because it's more of like an earthy note, like a wet dew in the morning, a little bit in here too. It's got obviously from the 6 casts, I feel like there's a lot It
going on.
seems well blended together on the nose, but there's a lot going on that figuring out the layering is, I don't want to say difficult, but there's a lot there. So when you come back, like I got graham cracker in that one just now, and like a white pepper.
That's awesome.
Crazy. So hold on here. I'm gonna dip in here.
This is all fruit and honey. Like, oh,
Mm. Oh man. Oh, this is okay. This is a pretty sweet ride. It's the first half was cool. The second half, as it's going finishing, is pulling out the wine casks, and that is screwing with my brain at the moment. Like I was about to describe the first half of it, then all of a sudden, like brain. We're on our show. Brain fuckery happened. It threw me for a loop on the second half because boy, does on the finish the berry notes come out really thick on this. Um, like a really ripe raspberry on the bottom of the tongue. Um, light caramel, light honeycomb. Hold on here. It's almost as if the honey and caramel were like stirred together, like real lightly, almost to make like a combo simple syrup. Still oily, man. Then you get the fruits I was talking about, the pear, a little bit of the nectarine. At the edge of the peat is just this light smoke coming through, like a light meat smoke coming across all the bottom of these flavors with a little bit of cheese. This is fucking really good.
oh, good. It sounds like it.
I do not normally get that excited about something. So I'm gonna say if you find a bottle from the Isle of, hold on here, maybe I gotta Rosé. You can read backwards. It's all like a Indiana Jones thing. Gotta figure it out for yourself. But I would pick up a bottle. I believe this is like 46.6%, so it is not bottomed out at 40. Um, but hell, that is a neat ride. That's a fun ride for Scotch. It's bright. It's not thick. You can go back to it, but the finish is really long on the sides. I'm gonna shut the fuck up for a second. You can talk, Mitch. Sorry, I got wound up there.
No, man. I'm Googling where to buy Isle of Rosé right now in Kentucky.
Yeah, I hope so. Now with
Uh,
second screens, you guys can do that.
right.
So
It is what it is. But, shoot. So now that I drank this a little more, it's, developing a little. So, the honey and fruit kind of goes into like a mild peat, we'll say, like where you're kind of confused on whether it's peat or earth that you're getting. But
yeah.
that being said, peat is earth, so yes. But other than that, like the I can see why this is used as a blending whiskey because there are absolutely no faults and it is just so nice and pleasant that I can only imagine like adding a few things to cause some drama to this would just be absolutely gorgeous.
You know what I'm excited about is I haven't, and maybe it's because I haven't had Scotch. I don't dabble back as much as I used to, free form between everything. I want to stay a little bit more in American whiskey, most of just because, well, I had a kid and funds change, so you gotta like focus a little bit. But man, this is a nice one to jump out of the box on right away. So thank you, Eric and Jenny. And if you can't, I'll save a little bit here, and we can send a sample out to you, Mitch, because that's tasty. So keep
I'll
your
be
eyes
able
up.
to get an Isle of Rosé. I found a couple places that'll ship to my door already.
Oh, just like that. But yeah, all right here. I'm going to pour the second one here. I have Scapa 16-year-old is where I'm gonna go next.
Scapa 16. All right. Something mildly comparable to Scapa 16.
Whoa. Hmm.
I don't know if I have anything
I
comparable
don't.
to 16.
Next week, I'll have we'll have the cantaloupe cream liqueur in all our hands, and we can use the proper uh, official palate cleanser of my whiskey den. It's
You say that
unassailable.
like it's just a palate cleanser. It's also absolutely delicious. Like,
Well, it,
it's like
it's
this is the
fa-
multivitamin of my whiskey den. It's like no. We also drink this because it's
oh,
super good.
it is well on its own. It's good with ice cream. It's good. There's all sorts of ways to use it, and yeah, so that'll be on. But it is a fantastic palate cleanser. It knocks everything out and lets you restart. So, ooh, This is a different torque here. I went dark comparatively. What is it? Oh, what do you got there?
I got Jura 18. So tried to come
Oh,
up with an island teen.
I like it. I like the theme. And of the Jura selections, what have you had from them?
I had the
Ooh, that's tight.
Superstition
Okay.
18. Um,
Was it
got
Prophecy was one? Was that the one that had the Ankh on it, or is that the Superstition?
hold on. I got one more back there. I don't remember what it is.
All right. We should also play a game where we spin the wheel and let someone in the chat make Mitch drink something from his shelves.
All right. I also have the 10 and 7 wood.
That'll be interesting since they brought it back down. Ooh, I jumped. Ooh, holy shit. I miss Scotch. Scotch. You may not have by that nose.
I don't know what smell I just smelled, but it triggered a food memory.
And what memory would this be? Because that's important.
That's the problem. I'm off my medication and I can't concentrate right now. So
Okay, that's fair. Never mind then.
but
Mitch's doctor.
It's like sweet soy sauce or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird. It's like incredibly salty yet sweet.
The salty part would make sense from them. No, but that's neat. I only think it was the Prophecy was the only one I had. The one that had the Ankh on it, and the standard before it changed.
Yeah, that was either Prophecy or Superstition, one of the two. I can't remember. This one does not have an Ankh on it.
It was just a weird thing, and of course when Richard's sitting there like it's describing how you're supposed to do it, and you're supposed to grab the bottle and press your hand to it, and then shake hands with the person beforehand. It's like there was all part of this thing. I'm like goofy, but kind of neat at the same time. At the same time, like not only make a weird bottle, we made you follow some rules. If you were,
oh my god, can you click on Spencer's comment there?
Yeah,
he's right.
Ooh.
It's teriyaki sauce. What the fuck? Okay,
that's fantastic.
Right, I feel better now.
I love that teriyaki sauce, so I'm gonna have to look back into it. Oh, there's that's right. There was a mango too. There was mango as well. Go ahead.
So this to me smells like teriyaki sauce and scotch. There's a little bit of fruit back there. There's like a little bit of malt. There's a little bit of like honey or caramel back there. But god dang, it smells like teriyaki sauce.
So is this with what's going on in the Asian market? Do you feel like this is a path they might go down?
No.
No.
I think this is why they rebranded. And a lot of folks are like, you know what I want my scotch to taste like? 99-cent teriyaki sauce.
Oh, you didn't say what the cheap stuff.
I've never bought expensive teriyaki sauce. I'm sorry. That's on me, obviously, that part. But
Well, no, it's making me think about it, but I don't know. I don't think there's a huge difference in. Well, I mean, probably in flavor, but I think there's only like 6 or 7 teriyaki sauces.
yeah, I mean, I live in Kentucky, man. It's not like, I mean, I could probably find a local Asian market that has, a wide selection of teriyaki sauce, but I shop at Walmart and like Aldi. We got like Kikkoman and maybe 2 others that we can choose for teriyaki sauce. And I go like Walmart or Aldi brand most of the time.
See, what do you think about this? See, because I was gonna say when you started mentioning it, that's kind of where I was leaning at first. Was like, well, that actually sounds like it might go good with a little sushi. And I haven't had that one yet, but I'm intrigued, and I know there's several out there that would. But I think it's neat how other countries are getting ones that remind me of what I would have in a Japanese whiskey, like how closely they're attaining some of that goal. Of course, they're using different grains. So, all right, hold on here. Ooh, definitely a little more in your face, a little more funk. Definitely more funk on the back half of the nose. That kind of picks up. Old Stone, little sounds weird, but like wet sock. It's the way it is.
Man, I said teriyaki sauce. Like, what's getting the weirdest thing?
But earthy leather on the first half of it. Yeah, like worn leather. Ooh. And there's brown sugar and molasses on it. Honey and it's not a grape note, but more like a grape brandy. Does that make sense? Because it's
Yep.
not. It's more fermented,
Mm-hmm.
and where it's coming from. But I haven't had the. I don't know if I've. Well, judging by it, I've obviously had a little bit of this before, but it's been quite a while. So much lighter than what I was expecting on the palate as far as viscous. Whoa! The end is awesome, legit honeycomb, and a little bit of hidden strawberry, like pancakes with honeycomb and strawberry. Is the finish. I'm not even sure about the first half of it, but that's the end of it.
This is weird.
Oh, so many. It's like a watermelon Jolly Rancher on the first half of it.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I couldn't figure out. It's like watermelon Jolly Rancher. Um, Wood notes surrounding that, obviously, but it's hidden in there because it's what keeps swirling in the middle of my tongue for a second.
That's awesome.
And peach. Fuck, I miss Scotch, folks.
Last time you came over, I gave you all types of scotch, and you were like, nah, who cares?
I don't know, blah, but I had to get on a plane at some point. That was
I
mad.
know. Oh, no, I'm not going to remember this incredibly cramped 3 hours. Oh, no. What a terrible thing.
I don't remember some of the ones we drank. That's what I meant. That's what I told you. You could pick whatever. You have a whole selection back there of craziness. But I like what you nabbed. So, folks out there, should we grab another one? I don't know if I have a scotch at hand, but I can grab something else to taste. I'm sure I got some behind the bar here.
So, I will say, taste very different than the nose. Thank God. Does not taste like teriyaki sauce. Still smells like teriyaki sauce, though. Like, the nose did not change. So it starts off like very nice and pleasant, like kind of a malty sweetness. It's got some like white pepper in there. And then, like 2.5 seconds in, the white pepper shifts to green pepper, like green
Green.
bell pepper.
Really?
Not my favorite flavor, not gonna
No.
lie. And then it comes out of that. Thank God. But that's a weird shift.
Well, the green milled pepper thing, like, you've had Dots pretzels, like the originals, right? Probably. Then they have, like, I think it's the Southwest version where I think it has a little bit more of that in it, and I'm not as big a fan. And there, it's that kind of the vegetable spices in that, and I think that has a little bit of the green peppery kind of note, like you're talking about, like the green pepper powdery note. Just when
Yeah.
you were saying that, that's where my brain was going to.
So to me, like, I just not a huge, like, it's raw green pepper to me. Like, it's not like, Mexican cuisine or whatever where they've sauteed like the onions and peppers down and you're like, ooh, this is going to be really good. This is green pepper without ranch. So like starts off lovely, caramel, malty sweetness, maybe honey because it's not a super like deep, dark, sweet. Then white pepper comes in, swells to like raw green pepper, subsides back, and it finishes lightly fruity, like super lightly fruity with hint of, I'd say, plum over I don't know, just
Plum is always a good note for me.
yeah,
Plum and blackberry.
plums over like honeycomb, but a lot of the honey's gone. Like it's a
Okay.
very like it's not as sweet, it's much more waxy.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I was gonna say I was thinking more just of like the flaky part, but it's the waxiness actually. That's a good point. Especially from the Scotch's side of things, because you will get a little bit more of a waxy taste sometimes comparatively.
So
Uh,
there's this weird phenomenon I was going to talk about in my changing flavors called ethanol clustering.
yeah.
And it's over time, ethanol clusters. Like, who would have thought from that, phrase that ethanol clustering meant ethanol clusters? But it basically, right, ethanol is this compound that has a lot of edges to it. And over time, they will like kind of come together and those edges will hook onto each other. And the thing about um, when those edges hook onto each other, suddenly those little pointy bits aren't pointy because they're pointing into each
Each
other.
other.
And that's
Okay.
where like the word smooth comes from because like it literally is becoming smoother. So like scotches get that because it takes time for that to happen, and scotches are generally aged much longer than bourbons. So like to me, that tastes like ethanol cluster.
That's what I like about you, Mitch. You have all these the concepts most people won't get when you're looking at it like that tastes like this. But do you like
There's
it?
a, there's a pretentious way of saying it's smooth and waxy.
Mm. Okay. So yeah, half hour. Ooh, I moved too quick and had to refocus here in a second. I'm gonna grab one more. I'm gonna see what's behind the bar here, and maybe I'll slide one more in before we take off this evening. But I was only prepared for two. And oh yeah, Emily doesn't like chlorophyll either. Yeah. Ugh. Oh, the dots on cinnamon sugar pretzels are amazing. Oh, I, cinnamon sugar pretzel are like a churro shaped in a pretzel. What do you think? Thoughts?
Oh no, I mean, don't say churros to Morgan. Like she'll be
Is it?
all about it.
Oh, some of this. I'm just saying. Just think about it, people.
So I didn't
And then,
realize she liked churros quite as much as she did. I just thought it was something that like she liked, and I found churro Kit Kats at Walmart, and I was like,
oh,
"Ooh, I bet Morgan would like these," and picked up a little pack of them, brought them home, and she was like, where did you get these? These are really good. And I was like, oh, you like them? Blah. And then like a couple days later, she was like, oh no, I love churros. And I was like, oh, I should pay attention more. Like, whoops.
Hold on a second here. Let me fix this. It doesn't want to fix itself. There we go. That's better. All right, here. So yeah. See, she's in the chat. She's excited, and I'm a little iffy. Like it should be standard with the when I say this, but the type of cinnamon used in the churro. Um, there is a different. Some sounds dumb, but there are different flavors of cinnamon, and they're distinctively not as dramatic as this, but just to make my point, Fireball versus an earthy cinnamon. You know what I mean? There's just distinctively different ones, but I like a little bit more of the earthy cinnamon, though I do like using it in apple cider drinks and stuff like that in winter for stir sticks or just adding it there for a little bit of punch. Yes. Thank you. Mexican cinnamon is really neat to use in things.
I mean, there are different, not brands, my brain's failing me, different plants sold as cinnamon. So, like, you definitely can get good cinnamon and bad cinnamon.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to spin it on the corner. I'll see what I can find. I'll be back in a second.
Sounds good. So, I will take this moment while Pat is gone to answer a question that happened a lot earlier in the chat, which was why do we get meat and barbecue notes on some peated whiskeys? So that is all about phenols, which is a very fancy way of saying the tailsy compounds that come out of distillation. And what those are the heavier weight compounds. So it's a fancy way of saying they're bigger, and they're often derived from proteins. So when you combine protein and smoke, we think barbecued meats. So you can get barbecued meat from phenols and peat smoke. Ta-da!
What? Phenols and feet smoke?
Peat smoke.
Oh, peat smoke. I didn't know what I walked into there for a second. All right. I don't have a great scotch. I guess apparently kind of cleaned up some stuff back here before we took off. It does get warm in the summer. That could have been part of my thought process. I got all of Mitch's wood. The next wood tasting has a lot, doesn't it, Mitch?
6.
Six in the next wood tasting. What? Just give me a second here. Let's talk about that for a second. Let me bring up the. Here we go. Is it odd flavors? Oh, or changing?
No, it's changing flavors.
Changing flavors.
So this is probably the most important part of barrel aging that people don't understand, right? Like you're not just straight up adding wood flavors. Neither are you using the charcoal to kind of mellow it out, but using air and then acids, you are oxidizing, oxygenating, and then esterifying the whiskey or whatever you're aging in the barrel. And those are where so many of your absolutely gorgeous, like fruity, estery, fun flavors come from.
Well, and that's where a lot of times some people will try to not just change the flavor because they're adding to it, but do their most to try to change it because they did something bad beforehand. Sometimes.
Well, it's also the deeper you go into the tails, the more fun you have with that. So if you bring over those proteins and those acids, they can esterify, and that makes absolutely delicious things over time. But at the beginning, it smells like wet dog and cardboard.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, so are we talking like 10 years or so before you kind of get
minimum? Like
minimum, okay.
10 would be
standard, or a Texas version.
So it's one of those things. It starts happening immediately, but if you want to really start to see those flavors, like there's a reason why scotches and like Armagnacs and cognacs and stuff like that have those 10, 12, 15
15, 20
plus.
ish standards.
Yeah, because you're really just tasting that esterification and oxidation of the whiskey or brandy or whatever. And those are the notes that they are going for. Whereas American whiskey, they're going for like the, wood flavor impact, where, you're getting the vanillins, the coconuts, the toasty notes, the marshmallow, stuff like that.
Sweet. There's gonna be a lot to talk about on that one, so I'm excited about that. So I didn't find, like I said, I didn't find another liquor I wanted to find, like a Scotch, but I did find something a little bit different that we could use in a drink. It's a spruce liqueur, and I'm wondering how how this turns out. And if you know our friend Adina Ewalds, she created this and was using it in drinks, rye drinks. I think were being mixed with this. So I'm just intrigued as to how this starts off on its own, especially with it being a spruce liqueur. Um, ooh, it smells very a little London Dry ginny, but definitely more of a vegetal. Ooh, it's almost like you broke the spruce off in here now. Like you have like a broken piece of the spruce tree in the bottom of this, and it's more powerful than I would have thought it would have been. There's a little minty note, but it's like a chalky mint. Wow. And a little bit of citrus, lemon. When I first hit this, it almost smelled like a gin to me for a second. Hmm. Okay, a little would go a long way. Really sweet, but the really sweet covers up what I think is the bitter note in here, and then the sugars bear out around it. Makes it very well rounded with what's going on there. It by itself is like with a lot of coolers for me. By itself, I think is a little much. Maybe with an ice cube by itself might be fine to drink. It's nice to sip on the way it is, and I like it, but clearly cocktail related, or at least an ice cube in here. And I think it might really open up interesting, especially if you do like Nordic drinks, something based off of that. I think this would line up in that grand scheme of things pretty well.
So since you went liqueur, I went liqueur.
All right.
I went blueberry fruit liqueur
Holy shit.
from Dueling Grounds Distillery in
Mm,
Franklin, Kentucky, I think. Wherever this is. No, not Franklin. Oh, yeah, no, Franklin.
nice.
So their strawberry is the best. I'm not going to lie. Their strawberry tastes like fruit jam. Like if you just
Ooh.
imagine making strawberry jelly an alcoholic drink, you have discovered exactly what their strawberry liqueur tastes like.
It's like crack, right? Like
Yeah.
I've said that about like wine that where my wife went. There's one that have a Concord grape wine where I don't say it's particularly great, but you have it. It tastes like Welch's grape juice, and you could slam a bottle without even thinking about what's going on, just wandering about.
So the cool thing about it is, I've gone to the distillery, I toured it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, how do y'all make it? And they're like, it's awesome. It is alcohol, whatever fruit it is, sugar and water. And that's it. And it's delicious. It's the best thing. Like, oh my God. And I was just like, why do all these people do other things? Like, this is like, they got it wrong. So, like, the blueberry, it's not as sweet as the strawberry. And, like, as a hoe for sugar, like, I am definitely on the strawberry train. But the blueberries, I mean, it tastes like blueberries, right? Like, you ever get those blueberries and they're not like perfectly sweet. They got that little snap to
Yep.
them where there's that, like, that's what this tastes like. And it's let's see here, 57.6
Oh,
proof.
holy shit! They're not
So
playing around.
proof,
See,
so not percent alcohol, right? So it's 27% alcohol, something like that.
still though, I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
you drink
bad.
a bottle of that, and you're not going to have a fun morning.
Yeah, because it's gonna be sugary to the point where I think it'll knock you down a notch.
Yeah, I think sugar's not. Well, I mean, there are 4 ingredients, so sugar's probably number 3 or 4, right?
Well, I didn't miss we were getting a lesson in cinnamon in the chat. I like that.
Right.
I'll expand my
Yeah.
knowledge. I think that's all I'm going to do with this spruce thing, is because it by itself leaves a pretty well. Hold on, you know what I should do? We got something else here. Let's pour it in there. There we go. Oop, we got another thing. Let's pour that in here too. There we go.
So Spencer makes an interesting point. Alcohol, fruit, sugar. How else would you make it? So they like put cut up fruit in there. Like, it's not a puree, nor is it artificial flavoring, right? Like, it is honest to goodness fruit going in there. So a lot of the bigger places will use artificial flavoring, or if they're trying to make a more natural product, will use a fruit puree or a fruit concentrate that they buy from somewhere. Like, a lot of breweries, like you get the mango or the guava,
Mm-hmm.
mango, guava, blah, blah, blah. The reason they do that is because that's the cheapest little puree that they can get from the big old warehouse. That's why everything's like mango, guava, whatever. But this is like blueberries came in season and they bought a bunch of blueberries. So, right, they only make it a few times a year.
Well, like you said, when you get that type of quality, you don't want to kind of walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking to Chris Cohen from Golden Beaver the other night. I saw the next day similar. Someone had 600 pounds of blueberries that they couldn't use, and he's like, "Okay, well, this is what we're doing," and I'm excited to see how that turns out. So, ooh, smash myself. Ooh, okay. The weird mixture was probably a bad idea. Ooh, yeah. No, it's sharp pine needle, green pine needle off a Christmas tree. Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Nope, that was a bad idea. Don't blend it. Don't blend those. Don't blend them together. Bad idea. Whew.
Don't blend this either, unless you can, because it's just delicious.
Blah. I gotta get rid of that. Holy Jesus. Yeah, that was a scotches and I got. Don't mix those. I'm gonna go back here before we take off to what my nephew got me, because that was pretty goddamn tasty. Sweet.
Nice.
Next week we will have Mike back, and I'll have some samples sent out to you guys. So
Ooh.
we'll have some things to try next week. We'll have some stuff from Northern Waters Distillery. We've tried one or two things from them before, but I got a rye that I have to get clarification on what it even is, because it was being bottled, and I forgot to ask what was in it. It was the new rye, and they weren't quite prepared. But who might have turned something like that down? Sounds fantastic, and it was pretty good. And I think they got a bird shot as well too. You'll be receiving the cantaloupe cream liqueur. And I'm thinking this week I might make a stop out to the local distillery. I don't get a chance to go out there as often as I should, but I'm going to go to Paradise North in Green Bay, and I think they've been open for pretty close to 2 years now, and see what they got going on. When they started, they went a neat route that I thought was different and liked. Everyone goes, not to say they didn't do stuff like gin and whatnot like that, but they leaned a little bit more on rum right away. And I was like, that's neat and a little different than what you see a lot of distilleries take that first path to it. I've
Mhm.
had the cherry bounce they have is really fucking good. I had that last fall, and wow. So they do play like seasonally with some other releases as well too, but um, and they have I think it's their straight they came out with recently. So but we need to see what they all have. But like I said, it just going with the rum, I thought was a different way of going for a distillery, especially here, and I kind of like it. I kind of like the that thought process because to me now rum was everyone liked rum for a while, but I don't know if everyone liked rum or they just like Captain Morgan, to be
Or if
honest.
they like Coke and alcohol.
Yeah, or Coke and alcohol, exactly, because it's like you ask people about other rums and they might know two, and it's a lot of people don't have a varied background in it comparatively to everything else. So I think it's neat to I just like the approach. I feel like it's like the spirit that's kind of getting looked over at the moment. You know, tequila's having its big day, gin's having a big day. Every celebrity wants to slap a name on something and be like, "Oh, I'm not in it for the money. It's just another revenue stream." Sorry, like four of them care. Like four of them care.
They're in it for the money. Like
They're
it's
in
not,
it for the money. That's what it is. But I mean, like, maybe we should do that. Should chat? Should we have Celebrity Whiskey Month, where we'll review celebrity whiskeys, and if possible, try to get them on the show.
oh, that would be A, impossible, and B, not a great
No,
idea.
well, that's the thing.
Because the
And
last time I had a celebrity whiskey, y'all made me chug it. So maybe not.
see, your idea of celebrity is far off from mine,
Yeah,
but
well,
that's okay. You want to taste that one again before we leave? I wouldn't chug that. I won't do that to you. Don't do that.
thank you, because I have work in the morning. And I have something I would actually like to finish on.
That's true. All right. Well, let's let everyone go. You need to get to sleep. You can see it's starting to get dark out on the patio. For a second earlier, I felt like I was part of the Golden Girls, where you could see like the background of the show, and it was all like a pool and all. Yeah, we have a lanai out back. Just hold on. I don't know. I'm feeling tropical. You don't get this very much in Wisconsin. It doesn't stay warm at night for but like 2 months, and it kind of makes you a little drunker than what you are.
Stays warm in Kentucky for a minute. I'm not gonna lie.
That's
I'm
why.
ready to go back to fall.
That's just the extended part of it. You know what I mean? So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much for stopping in. Remember to stop in next Monday when we have a show with Mike, and we'll be talking about what we had. We're also working on a show with the Victorian Bar Room. We had him on a long time ago when he very first started his channel. They have been doing some really, really great stuff since then, um, with not just historical drinks and stuff like that, but just everything in general. They do a really great job with the channel. But we're gonna have them back on to talk about cocktails because I feel like in summer maybe we should hit on cocktails a few more times before we get out here because I really I think we're missing it. I want to get back on the cocktail train before we get into winter. Winter for me is slugging actual booze again. So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much for stopping in. Remember, it's not the size of the den that matters, it's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.